All right. Good morning, good afternoon, once again, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's What's New at GetQuorum session. I am Mark DePinto, the marketing manager here at GetQuorum, and I'm joined here by our regional sales director for the state of Florida, Mr. Frank Valdez, that will be doing the presentation for you guys today. A little bit of a rundown as far as what we're going to be going over is just a really high-level overview as far as all the new and exciting features and integrations that GetQuorum has rolled out over the last 6 to 12 months. We're going to leave lots of time for Q&A. So if there's any questions that arise regarding the GetQuorum service or anything that we talk about in today's chat, feel free to use the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen, right next to the chat beacon. And without further ado, I'll hand it off to you, Frank, to get things started today.
All right. Good afternoon, officially, everyone. 12:03 here on the East Coast of the U.S. Again, to Mark's point, and thank you, Mark. Glad, happy, and honored to have everyone's presence today. We're going to walk through a few things, including what's new at GetQuorum. This isn't an official CE course. This is not one of those. We've got plenty of those throughout the year, not to worry. We'll continue to post those. This is certainly a really good informational session for property managers, board members, and just industry professionals at large. You're going to get a ton of information about electronic voting, not just about GetQuorum, but best practices out there as well. So we'll walk through a little bit of an agenda as everybody still continues to trickle in and log on. Not to worry, this is being recorded. We're happy to share it with everyone out there, and we will have a chat feature. So you've got the Q&A little feature just at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to use that, the Q&A. We'll be taking plenty of questions today and leaving room to answer those. So whether it's specific to the GetQuorum platform, hopefully it is, or just a general one about Florida, electronic voting, maybe some best practices, some confusing information you may or may not have received, use that Q&A and ask feature, make sure that we've got those questions in there and that we can address the questions with some answers for you. All right. So without any further ado, we'll walk through the agenda here. All right. So we've gone through the introductions. My name is, again, Frank Valdez. I'm the regional director, as Mark stated, in the state of Florida. My background here with GetQuorum goes into almost 5 years. So I will be celebrating that this year with them. In terms of beyond that, served on my own board of directors, several committees in a 415 HOA in the West Fort Lauderdale area. And prior to that role, worked in the property management industry as well. So a little background there. So we're going to go through those intros, GetQuorum difference, what's new at GQ, virtual board meetings, surveys, registration desk, and integrations. There's a whole host of things our development team internally has been working on. Hard at work over the course of the at least 4 years that I've been here, but even further than that. I will make sure, again, we get to plenty of Q&A. So please make sure that you use that Q&A feature. All right. So a little background about GetQuorum for those folks that may or may not be familiar with us. GetQuorum has been in business since 2016, providing electronic voting to associations, organizations across North America. What do? We make things easy. We make sure that your organization passes bylaws, achieves quorum, helps reduce overall costs. We'll get into some of those things, help you run successful governance meetings from start to finish. So we do provide the services of electronic voting, surveys, e-notices as well. It's a big one. We'll get into that in today's meeting. Hosted virtual annual turnover and town halls, hybrid meetings, big thing going on in Florida right now, and some of those virtual board meetings. All right. In terms of our unique differentiators, we are a Zoom ISV provider. We do have 30 plus employees here working hard at this each and every day, and north of 3,000 clients in all of North America, as far north as Toronto, as far south as Aruba, and as far east as Bimini Bay, HOA, beautiful community over there. We're proud members of CAI National and a ton of local chapters. We'll be at that national convention, I think, just coming up in about a month or so. Next slide, Mark. All right, here's our GetQuorum difference. The software that we provide is our own proprietary software. It was created by our own internal in-house team, and it is continuously updated. It provides a ton of features for communities in the state of Florida. Those include the consent notice first and foremost, right? In the state of Florida, there's a consent requirement. So communities have to receive a consent from owners to opt into electronic voting. Very important. Of course, electronic notices, big hot topic right now, getting notices to owners electronically, tracking those and making sure that you reduce the cost of printing and postage in your community. Electronic voting, right? Again, this proprietary platform is assisting with those, helping voters to cast votes from just about anywhere in the world that they have access to Wi-Fi. It can be in a cruise ship or these days anywhere that you've got, again, that strong Wi-Fi signal, even in a train. Virtual meetings, we do provide hosted virtual meetings. We'll dive into that in just a bit. And of course, most importantly here, the reporting and analytics. You got to make sure you get those reports out of the platform and that you can monitor, track, and download all of your meeting results in real time. All right, that's the GetQuorum difference there. Next slide, Mark. All right, so here's what we provide in terms of, again, some more differentiators. It's innovative technology. So we've got a really good interface. It's an all-in-one platform that's going to tackle all of the electronic voting challenges for your community. It's going to make sure that you've got a secure meeting, that you've got seamless experience, that we've got an automatic login. So there's no need to download any sort of software for GetQuorum. No downloading of app necessary. This is a cloud-based system, and it's going to auto log in many cases, an owner. And so in many cases, they won't even have to remember username and password. We've got a stress-free experience. Again, we've got a fully managed full service approach. This is how we run things. If you tuned in today, you did not know this already. GetQuorum is not a do-it-yourself platform. We are not in the business of just selling software and having owners or property managers have to figure it out. On the contrary, our team is going to provide the entire process and service of electronic voting in your community. In terms of what we do and how we do it, our team of account managers, customer success managers, they work tirelessly each and every day to make sure they set everything up, they send out these electronic votes and collect these results for you. Security is always a hot topic. We're always asked, especially in the state of Florida, specifically, what we're doing to make sure that we're complying with all of those e-voting statutes. And it's simple. We're making sure that we partner up with companies like AWS out there, Amazon Web Services, to provide security encrypted links, token-based voter authentication. And again, the meeting data has to be secure and auditable as well, the likes of which you would never be able to get on a paper-based ballot out there. Next slide, Mark. All right, so let's go through some what's new at GQ, features and product updates. This is exciting. All right, so if you haven't, again, used these features already, I know we may have some customers on this webinar today that say, yep, love it, used it, great tool. If you haven't quite used it yet or aren't familiar with this, we do have a service that's called virtual board meetings. So one of our features that we provided our GetQuorum Meetings Pro customers is virtual board meetings. What does that mean? Well, that means that managers or the administrator specifically for the community can log into their GetQuorum administrative dashboard and schedule and set up Zoom meetings right through the GetQuorum dashboard, right? So we call them virtual board meetings, but ultimately it is a Zoom meetings account which provides a limited amount of meetings throughout the year to be opened up, recorded or not. And then, of course, attendees can be invited right in that platform. So it's a really organized, neat way to open up board meetings right inside of that GetQuorum platform. The access to those meetings is pretty neat. It will have hosts and participants alike. The hosts usually being board members, so you can actually designate specific board members in those meetings as you are creating them. The most exciting part is that the user experience for owners and board members alike gives them access to meeting documents. All right, so as they look at their invitation links, as they are driven right into that meeting via their link, they have access to meeting docs, that agenda, those documents that are supposed to be provided to owners. And again, recordings can be turned on or off for those meetings. I think one of the most exciting, innovative features for virtual board meetings, and we've got communities just getting used to this. So this is definitely something that's forward thinking by all means by our product development team, is the fact that board members can vote electronically on motions in this virtual board meeting tool. So imagine as a board member being in a Zoom meeting, having host capabilities as some sort of panelist there. And when the property manager says, hey, we need a motion, and how are the votes going to be tallied? Board members, feel free to vote on your screens. You actually have a way of voting right on your screen if you are a board member in one of these meetings on a motion. All right. So again, this is a future cutting edge technology of where board meetings are being driven these days, especially for the state of Florida. Next slide, Mark. All right. So here's how it works. Again, if you're a property manager and you have our software and you haven't done this yet, go ahead and log into the GetQuorum dashboard. All right. So log right in. Go to that top right orange button that says new meeting, and it is just there for you in the top right of your dashboard, and it will say schedule a new board meeting. The virtual board meeting tool will then begin to ask you a ton of questions, right? The date, the time, whether you want the recording on or off, the agenda, if you'd like to upload that document at that point, and other meeting documents. Remember that those are going to be shared with any sort of participants and board members as well. You have direct access and control as an administrator in the GetQuorum dashboard. Again, usually our property managers, right? To open the meeting and run it at any time. In terms of accessing the meeting and votes results, again, as an administrator, that will be in your dashboard. So you got that information nice and organized in the GetQuorum dashboard for future visibility. And so if you had 3-4 board meetings this month, as an administrator or property manager, you can go right in your GetQuorum dashboard, look back at your virtual board meetings, and even look at the recordings if you did record it. Again, that's optional, on or off, and look at any documents that you may have attached. And if there is an electronic vote cast by board members, you can look back at those results. Historically, it stays with the reports in the GetQuorum dashboard. So super neat there, organization. Again, an awesome feature that we actually have used widely in the state of Florida. I believe for GetQuorum, we've set the record in the state of Florida for usage rates on the what we call the virtual board meeting tool. So our vision, just to kind of take it back a step here, is that GetQuorum at some point becomes your virtual meeting tool, right? Whether it's your Zoom or Microsoft Teams. So a virtual board meeting tool, survey application, and we'll get into those in just a moment, and also your electronic voting platform. So a 3-in-1 is what we're shooting for here. This is the Zoom portion or the virtual meeting portion of that. We'll get into some of those other features in just a moment. Next slide. Oh, sorry, let's go into that survey app. Yes, all right. So again, drifting right into what I was just mentioning there, surveys, right? Let's go back to that vision, and it's virtual board meetings or virtual meetings in general, surveys, and e-voting in one platform, an all-in-one platform that can help you with that. So this is certainly one of our biggest features that was rolled out in the Florida market last year. I can tell you that I was intimately involved with pushing our development team, and they were so gracious in developing a survey app. And again, the hope here is that while GetQuorum does provide official binding electronic votes, the survey application is a non-binding vote. I just want to make that very clear, right? That there is an application and a tool here in the same GetQuorum dashboard where managers log into. They have an opportunity to not only open up those virtual board meetings we mentioned, but also go to another tool in their arsenal, which is a survey. Keep in mind, these are non-binding votes, right, by the members. Good news here. If an owner has not opted into electronic voting or consented to electronic voting as it pertains to an official binding member vote, they're still eligible to receive electronic surveys. So in essence, property managers can send these surveys to every single owner whose email address you have on file. Again, these are kind of your straw polls. These are not binding votes, but a great tool for engagement purposes. If you've got something like an upcoming amendment, hey, owners, we're looking for your feedback. We have 6 tennis courts, looking to convert perhaps 1 tennis court into 2 pickleball courts. It will trigger an ownership vote. Owners, we'd like to get your feedback first before diving into the journey of having an attorney write up an amendment, perhaps or a material alteration vote in your community, and having that go before the members for an official vote. This is a great tool to get, again, the temperature of where the community's at. Maybe they say, yes, time for pickleball here. I'm so excited, can't wait for it. And then again, you can have attorneys draft those material alteration votes or amendments if needed for your association. So great engagement tool. They're being widely used by the likes of something like a SurveyMonkey or your also Google. They call it, kind of like the Google survey app. So for the most part, what you want to do is moving forward, use that survey app and GetQuorum. Why? Everything stays organized for you, right? So now you've got your virtual meetings organized and recordings, if you had any of those. You also, as a manager or administrator in our dashboard, can go over to your tab of the surveys, and you have any historical surveys there as well. So the idea is that you're able to send those. Now, remember, these can be anonymous or non-anonymous, right? You can create your own custom surveys in the application. You have full control to add or remove recipients in that survey. And of course, you can access, view, and download any responses in real time through the survey application. Those results will stay in the GetQuorum cloud-based software, and you're welcome to download those results and share them with the owners. Again, great tool. Can't emphasize enough that this should be the start to any membership-based vote that's outside of something like an election, right? So an election has to happen. We all know that. But anything outside of that, such as an amendment, material alteration vote, perhaps an upcoming assessment in the community that requires a membership vote, start with a survey, get some engagement, get some buy-in from these owners in your community, and then, of course, follow up with an official membership vote based on the results of your survey. Next question here. All right, so again, here's how it'll work. You're seeing it right before your very own eyes there. You're going to log into your dashboard, create a new survey, give it a name in the application. It's going to ask for a message if you want to include that. It's going to ask for you to do several things here. Add the recipients, add questions. There can be multiple choice or fill in the blank. So good options there. And in terms of the membership, once you're done with that, it will ask which members you'd like to add. And of course, when the start date and finish date is on these surveys. So again, very similar to probably other survey applications you've used out there. Simplicity is key here. Once you've kind of walked through that, make sure that if you need any resources in how you attack these, that you do ask your account management team on GetQuorum's side. But again, start date is opened up by you, end date is opened up by you, and it does allow you to attach documents if they need to review anything like, hey, we're thinking of painting the building a certain color. We want to get your feedback, owners. Here's 3 colors to choose from, right? And so all of that information is very useful there. Again, if you need assistance and you're a current customer, please check in with our team. They will be happy to make sure that they provide you the information for this. All right, so let's walk through something that we call the registration desk. All right, so just to kind of make sure we get caught up here for those folks that may have logged in a few minutes late, we've walked through some of the new features that GetQuorum, such as virtual board meetings. Those virtual board meetings specifically are Zoom-based meetings, but with an integration for electronic voting for board members. We've walked through surveys already, and I see the Q&A chat bubbling up there, so we're going to make sure we leave plenty of time for questions today. Thank you for those. So we've walked through surveys, that's second feature there, and we're going into a third feature here in this What's New at GetQuorum webinar, which is a registration desk. Now, this is a game changer, folks. What you're about to see here has been widely adopted throughout the state of Florida, and I will tell you, the larger the size of the association, the more exciting that the management team has been. And so let's take a look at this. The idea behind our registration desk is to replace your typical Excel spreadsheet that you print out in order to check in owners in person to a meeting, right? So many years ago, they came to our team and said, hey, listen, we'd love to register owners that show up in person electronically. And we came up with an exciting feature for you here. We'll walk through it. So again, as with everything GetQuorum, this is accessible in your administrative dashboard. So for our administrators, our property managers out there, please make sure that you go into kind of that Rubik's Cube button on the top right, and you do have the registration desk application there. If you don't see it, contact our team. But the idea of this is to, again, quickly check in your attendees that show up in person to the meeting, right? And also manage their attendance and whether they've provided an electronic vote or not. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. But it's a very exciting feature here that's going to make things a lot easier for you, especially if you've got a large association and we're talking about 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 doors. I know we've got north of 5,000 doors communities that we provide electronic voting for. When it comes to the day of the meeting, because these meetings in Florida are usually hybrid, where there's a in-person option and a virtual option for owners, we're here trying to assist the management team with the check-in process to the in-person option. Next slide here, I believe we have some more information. All right, so here's how it works. All right, for all of our managers again on this call, or even those folks wondering perhaps that aren't customers just yet, how does that work? Why should we even care about something like a registration desk? Well, here's why. You've got to check in owners. I was at an annual meeting last night myself, 6:30 p.m. check-in. Only had about, I would say, 100 owners show up in person. And the in-person checking in of those owners took well over an hour. So the meeting began late. Why? We've got this massive Excel spreadsheet. You got to look it up by last name. We're going to give you a streamlined approach in checking in owners. So for those folks on the call wondering, how do you open up your registration desk? It's easy. Right in the administrative dashboard, you open up the registration desk. Any future meetings are going to be loaded there, and we're going to give you an opportunity to click on that meeting specifically and then search a name. As you see there in front of you, there is a search feature for a unit by name, email, or even the lot number or unit number. So you search by those super quick. It pulls up any and all owners that are registered to that unit. You can check on their box. And then more importantly, it will let you know if that owner has provided some sort of proxy prior to the meeting that they want to keep on file or revoke because they're walking into the meeting to attend it personally and perhaps vote in person. So log into the registration desk, open up that meeting, click on the check-in button, make sure that you do a search feature. If you don't see the attendee's name, do a search feature there on the top for the attendee. So make sure you've got, again, either by last name, email, or lot number, and then click and check them in. This will generate a report of your in-person attendance, by the way. And we do have cases where we have multiple check-in stations as well. We've got many large communities that say, hey, can we have multiple administrative logins so that we've got 2 or 3 laptops or iPads set up and we are checking in the owners there. The good news is gone are the lines of, hey, you've got to be on this line for A through K, right? And then our L through Z or on this other line, don't mess it up. You don't have to do that with this registration desk. It's an open environment now for anyone to walk up to any of the registration desks. Why? Because they're all speaking and communicating with each other. If you check in an order with the last name of V in one station, but then you've got an owner next door with a Z, that's fine. Again, this is all communicating as you check in these owners. And for the property manager or administrator, you click on that check-in button and you're done. It's easy, simple. Again, it's going to generate a report of who attended in person, right? So here's one of the most, for sure for me, one of the most exciting portions of what's going on at GetQuorum with integrations. For a very, very long time, we've worked tediously to make sure that we make life even easier for managers and properties out there. And we are excited to announce that we have finalized our integration with industry-leading community management software platforms such as Vantaca, FRONTSTEPS, which is Caliber as well out there, if I'm not mistaken. So the back end should be that Caliber software and FRONTSTEPS should be the front-facing. And we're certainly just wrapping up our HOA mailer integration as well. And here's why this is significant. Here's why this is important, why you should care. If you've got a community right now out there using Vantaca or is using, again, FRONTSTEPS or Caliber, we have automated the integration process of receiving roster information. So GetQuorum does work with your current platform to receive the most up-to-date roster information of owners. That's important for us to know who's in the unit, who owns the unit, and of course, are there any emails attached to that? That's critical for us. What this integration has done is, from a management perspective, you do not have to any longer reach out to us and say, hey, we've had an ownership change. Please make sure that your platform, GetQuorum, has the most up-to-date roster information. Vantaca, FRONTSTEPS, we are being provided nightly updates. So there is a nightly update that goes into our system, overrides any old owner information, and updates us with a new information. So again, that synchronization happens automatically. We've got the most up-to-date owner data in our platform. And it does allow us now, again, to make sure that if there's a new owner, that we trigger a new consent form, that if there's an old owner information, that again, we delete them from our platform, and that we're not sending any sort of ballots, for example, to an old owner that perhaps no longer owns the units. All right. So that's the integration functionality with Vantaca with FRONTSTEPS. We're happy to, of course, answer questions if there are those for those two. In terms of HOA mailers, the important feature here is that GetQuorum is providing mailing here in the state of Florida. So we've been asked by many communities, hey, could you guys just manage not only electronic notices, which we do as part of your service plan? We send out electronic notices, which is a massive money saver over a printed notice. But for the owners that never opt into electronic voting, perhaps they didn't have an email address, they're still going to be owed a physical mailer, right? For owners that never opt in, they're still owed a physical mailer. That's about 20% on average of the owners. We get about 80% of the owners to opt into electronic voting, about 20% of the owners, for one reason or another, whether they have an email or not, stay opted out for now. Of course, we expect that number to continue to decline in the future. And so in terms of what HOA Mailer is helping us with is we are able now to provide that physical mailer to any owners that never opted into e-notices in your community. So again, a one-stop shop for GetQuorum. You contract us. This is an optional service, so it's definitely not mandatory for all of our customers. And you reach out to our team and say, hey, listen, I not only would like for your team to send out our annual meeting notice electronically, but also please send out any physical mail notices to owners that never opted in. We have that accessibility now. We've got that feature. Again, it alleviates the work for many, many communities out there wondering, well, for the owners that never opted in, how do we get them a mailer? Because again, that is a requirement that you get them a budget mailer, notice of the annual meeting mailer, all that good stuff. And again, we are proud to say here that we can provide printing in the state of Florida. So please connect with our team. Let us know in terms of pricing. We're happy to provide that for you. Of course, postage is always a variable because we never know where these notices are going, but we're happy to provide that specific service as an ancillary service for your communities. All right. What else do we have up there, Mark? Let's go to the next slide. All right, subscriptions overview. Okay, so for those folks, again, on the call that may be familiar already with our services, bear with us. For those folks that maybe want to refresh and our current customers, great slide for you. And for those folks, again, that may not be so familiar with GetQuorum's services in the state of Florida, we've kept it really simple, like everything else we do. We've got two service plan options. It's kind of A or B here, right? We've got Voting Essentials, and we've got what we call GetQuorum Meeting Pro. One or the other, it would be the service plans that are provided to all of our communities throughout the state of Florida. The Voting Essentials is exactly what it says there. It's our basic entry-level electronic voting plan for the year. So the good news is both of these plans run for 12 months from the date of signature, typically on a proposal, right? So once the customer agrees to move forward with us in service, we are providing 12 months of Voting Essentials or 12 months from that date of Meetings Pro. Here's what's included in Voting Essentials for those folks on the call. And I actually just had this email this morning. I hope that perhaps she's tuning into this webinar. We provide, if you're a Voting Essentials customer, unlimited electronic notices throughout the year. And those include the following: electronic budget notice sent out to all the owners that opted in, an electronic first notice of an annual meeting, second notice of an annual meeting, and any special meeting notices out there, right? For things like amendments and things like material alteration votes, reserve funding, any of those officially, governance notices, our team will send them out electronically. Massive money saver. That's with Voting Essentials. And of course, that's included with our Meetings Pro, or more premium service. In terms of what else is included with Voting Essentials, we are sending out, again, not only your notices, but we're providing electronic voting for the owners as well. And so whether it's your annual meeting for owners that have opted in or your special meetings, we will send out those, or I should say ballots or limited proxies to the owners and allow them the opportunity to vote electronically. All right. So in the state of Florida, just to be clear, there is a requirement for owners to consent or opt into electronic voting. With Voting Essentials, we do include what we call an electronic consent form. So just to recap for our Voting Essentials customers or prospects in the meeting today, Voting Essentials includes an electronic consent form for owners to opt into electronic voting. That's the very first step usually, and reminder emails as well. Electronic notices that follow that for owners that have opted in to e-notices. Massive money saver there, right? 70 to 80% reduction in printing and postage for your communities. And then, of course, beyond that, any sort of electronic voting that's a binding vote for your community. And I'll take it a step further. Surveys are included with voting essentials as well in our Florida market. So all of those features, one low cost for voting essentials. That's kind of an overview of that. Meetings Pro provides everything that Voting Essential includes. So if you're a Voting Essentials customer and you're wondering, hey, why should I upgrade to Meetings Pro? Those services don't go away. You get everything that Voting Essential provides, in addition to a hosted webinar style meeting for your annual meeting for the year. And so what that looks like is a moderator from GetQuorum like myself, not only opening up the annual meeting, but sending out the GetQuorum webinar, Zoom webinar links to each owner. So we're going to send out a link to each owner instead of a generic Zoom meeting link. And that's going to give us some opportunities to take, for example, virtual meeting attendance for you and close the polls if they haven't been closed and provide you the final results. So that's the upgraded Meetings Pro there, that you get a moderated hosted webinar meeting with a moderator from GetQuorum. That's providing, scrutinizing, real-time, closing polls, and the final results. Otherwise, you're kind of doing that stuff on your own with Voting Essentials. In addition to, to that, you also receive that virtual board meeting tool that we mentioned earlier, right? So we mentioned virtual board meetings. You can open up your own Zoom meetings, and of course, you can send out any sort of links to have owners log in to a Zoom virtual board meeting monthly. That's included with Meetings Pro Unlimited, right? So GetQuorum's Meetings Pro includes unlimited electronic voting, unlimited electronic notices, and unlimited virtual board meetings as well, or Zoom meetings there. And then, of course, one hosted virtual webinar meeting for the year. Voting Essentials, unlimited e-voting, unlimited surveys, and unlimited consents as well, and notices. So that's an overview. Of course, connect with us if you have any questions on the different package or plan options. I will tell you, I do believe that there will come a point for every association that is having hybrid meetings, that's using something like Zoom for your monthly board meetings and your annual meeting, that it will make sense just to roll right into that Meetings Pro package and have surveys, Zoom meetings, and e-voting all in one place. Voting Essentials would only be surveys and e-voting, right, and notices. All right, so next slide. Perfect. All right, we've reached kind of the end of an overview of our what's new at GetQuorum. We can't thank you enough for your patience with us. I see a ton of questions there in the chat feature, so I do want to get to some of these and make sure that you come away with responses to all of them. All right, so let's start with the first one here. Is GetQuorum located in Canada or the US? Both. We've got, for example, offices in the United States. We've got corporate in Canada. I myself am based out of the United States, specifically Florida market. We're a regional director there. In terms of please speak to why virtual board meetings cannot be shared with all homeowners. Told they can only be set up and sent to board meetings. All right, try to make sure that I understand what that says. So speak to why virtual board meetings cannot be shared with all homeowners. They can. So virtual board meetings is a tool that we've got that records the meeting. If you wanted to share the link, it can be shared. In terms of who can be invited to a virtual board meeting, homeowners and board members alike can be invited to a virtual board meeting, at least through the GetQuorum platform through the setup. So again, creates a generic link. You can send that out to homeowners. And then in terms of the board members, they receive their own unique links, and that's for voting purposes. All right, so thank you to that. And again, if you need further clarification, feel free to reach out directly. We can discuss it further. Another one here, can all homeowners receive a link to complete the survey? Yes, it's done via the email address on file. Thank you for that question. So Rob, what we've got is unique links, whether it is a survey, right? Or whether later on that owner is being sent some sort of official binding vote, These are links unique to that email, unique to that owner. The difference is on the survey side, again, no binding vote. It's just a survey, but it is sent uniquely to each email and each owner. On the electronic vote, the binding vote, a little bit more security on the back end of that for sure. But again, they are unique links sent to these owners. And good news, GetQuorum has done away with any sort of login or password. They will not remember that information. This is an automated login process based on an encrypted link that is sent to these owners' email addresses, their inbox. All right, so let's move on to the next question here. Can I create an annual meeting vote for directors on my own, or must I use the GetQuorum services to facilitate that? All right, very good question. So surveys can be created by administrators in the GetQuorum platform. Just to be very clear there, any surveys, right? You're throughout the year. And again, those are unlimited. In terms of official binding votes by owners, whether it's an annual meeting or a special meeting, those votes have to be created by our team and managed by our team. Why? We've done that intentionally. GetQuorum is a third-party secure electronic voting platform. We want to make sure that any official binding vote has been created by our team and managed by our team. Why? We're going to take away the human error on the part of an administrator having to learn our platform. On the back end, it is a little bit more robust to set up an official annual meeting vote, elections as well, and then to collect that information. So again, that's created by our team. It's confirmed by the administrator because we do send out samples to that person just to make sure that what we've created matches the notice that's usually sent to our team. And so we do receive approvals before we send anything out to owners, just to be clear on that. So it does say, ask also, can I set up a survey on my own? Absolutely, you can set up a survey on your own in our platform. Again, just to kind of repeat that, our platform allows for surveys to be set up on your own. And it does allow for virtual board meetings to be set up on your own if you have that feature, if you're a Meetings Pro customer. The only features on our end that we usually assist with are the binding votes. All right. And again, our team is a team of experts when it comes to these ballots or limited proxies. Let us do the work. It's included. It's, again, a fully managed process for you. So another question here, is there a specific manual on how to set up the various features in GQ, such as virtual meetings, surveys? Yes, we do have videos on those. So thank you for asking. Please reach out to, if you're a customer of ours, to our customer success management team. So your account management team should have that information for you. Specifically, it's support@getquorum.com. They are more than willing to reply back with video links and also PDFs, documentation on how to set up, whether it's a survey or how to kind of navigate through your dashboard. I know we have videos and also instructional guides on those as well. And so again, PDFs and videos alike. All right, another question here. How do we access and change existing homeowner email addresses on file? Very good question there. So I do appreciate that. If you are one of our customers that has an integration with the management platforms, again, if you're a customer of ours and you have Vantaca, right, Caliber out there, FRONTSTEPS, any of those platforms that we currently integrate with, please send an email to support@getquorum.com, your account management team, and let them know that the platform that you currently have is, again, Vantaca, Caliber, FRONTSTEPS. Why? Because we do have integrations, and we will, with your permission, pull the most current owner data and begin what we call automatic updates on our end. So no need to give us any more information. In terms of for the customers that do not have current integrations with GetQuorum, that information flows the following way. Typically, you have two options if you're looking to change ownership information with GetQuorum once we've already set you up as a customer. Option one, email our support team, support@getquorum.com, and let them know we've got an ownership change, whether it's just an email address change, same owner, or a full resale and an ownership change. Email our team, let them know from the administrative side, right? It's not the owner directly, but administratively, email our team and let them know we need you to update this information in the GetQuorum environment or dashboard. Alternately to that, if you are an administrator and do have administrative rights in the GetQuorum platform, feel free to log into your dashboard. There is a tab that's called the membership tab. Every single member is loaded there. All of their email addresses are there. And again, as an administrator, manager, you do have the capabilities of updating an email address. Here's what we won't do. We won't receive phone calls or emails from owners directly saying, change my email information. Why? GetQuorum would have no way of vetting whether that's a current owner for the community. So if you're an owner on this call, please check in with association management first, send them your email address update or your informational update, and we will communicate with the administrator for that specific community. And again, either update it ourselves or give them access in the administrative dashboard in the membership tab to update emails or any owner information. It is accessible to you, all right? So another question here, and again, appreciate all of these questions from Agina. Does this ownership change happen in Sync as well? Well, we're working on that. Thank you for that question. So Sync platform, we've been in communication with them, and we're working to make sure that we can provide the same automation in the Sync platform as well. So thank you for that. Stay in touch with our team. Keep asking these questions because we're not done yet with automations. We are working still on a few others, including Sync as well. And in the meantime, all right, don't despair. In the meantime, if you do have any updates and you are already a customer of ours and you're either with Sync or some other platform, easy. Again, send that update to our team. An updated roster will update our platform, or please feel free to log into the GetQuorum dashboard and the membership tab, and you do have access to providing those updates directly in there. So we're here to help. All right, you don't have to do all the work on your own. Next question here, can we get a copy of these slides? Absolutely. We can certainly share that with you, Mr. Robert. And we've got an anonymous attendee here. Will the tariffs affect annual pricing structure? This is the second time I get this question. So no, that I'm aware of, absolutely not. We would communicate that information with our customers. We have a great deal of respect for our clients in the state of Florida. They've been extremely supportive of us. Again, we've got north of 1,000 associations now that we provide the service to just in Florida alone, north of 3,000 all throughout North America. So no, there are, that we know of in the current future here, no specific direct effects with any tariffs. All right, another question here, next one here. Wondering email addresses on file for virtual board meetings. Why not? Okay, so connect with our team. Robert, I know you have a specific question on homeowners' email addresses for virtual board meetings and whether you can send links out to those. So either myself directly after this meeting, because it seems like we want to walk you through a lot of the features of the virtual board meetings, how we can get that out to all of the owners. I do know that the virtual board meetings tool generates a generic link that you can then send out to the owner, specifically whether it's in the platform or outside of it. We'll get that covered. And again, that's something that we're continuously developing and making better. All of these features that I mentioned today, right? Our in-house development team is working tediously. I know we have weekly calls on that. Mr. Paul here, how do we access the recorded meetings? Can we upload the recordings and how long are they stored? So right now they're stored in perpetuity. In terms of our virtual board meetings, recorded meetings, they are stored in perpetuity in the GetQuorum platform. So you'd log in and you would see any recorded meetings that you've recorded. Good news is we use kind of a cloud-based, again, Amazon Web Services, cloud-based service. You can log into your dashboard from anywhere you have access to an internet browser, and you can view the recorded meetings. We have not deleted recorded meetings. We do not have a specific, as of today, anyways, a specific storage cap. And so we've got communities I know for the past 3 years that have been recording Zoom meetings, and they're still there. You have access almost to your own library when you log into your GetQuorum dashboard as well. So we've got great questions. I love it. Keep them coming. We've got a few others. I kind of thought that we might have some. So I love that we left a ton of time on the back end. Appreciate everybody, posting these questions. So Mr. Dan here, is the voting legal to change the bylaws with 75% needed? So I'm going to try to interpret that a little bit on my end. Electronic voting is a resource to change bylaws, including associations that have a 75% threshold. So if you're an association in today's call and you're wondering, can we use electronic voting to fulfill our 75% requirement, yes, you may. A combination of electronic voting and even paper voting is always allowed. Remember, e-votes count towards quorum. An owner does not need to attend the meeting or be in attendance to be counted towards quorum as long as they're an electronic voter and they've casted an e-vote. So those always count towards the 75% threshold. I'll take it a step further. We have many associations actually asking owners to cast a vote to lower the 75% threshold. So believe it or not, as of lately, what we've gotten is associations that sign up for electronic voting will get quorum, right? We get all the owners consented and opted in, as many as possible. And then their first order of business, believe it or not, may or may not be an annual meeting. It's actually votes from owners to lower thresholds like that, for amendments, future amendments from 75%, to something like 50% or even lower, right? So contact your association attorney if you have questions on the kind of tools of how to lower voting thresholds or whether an amendment, is going to be needed and how to leverage that. But I will tell you, we've connected with a bunch of communities and we have provided a ton of support as it pertains to amendments in communities. So yes. Here's another question from Mr. Dan. How long before the meeting do we need to contact you? Great question. Thank you for that. In terms of setting up electronic voting before a meeting, we love to hear from you. Ideally, something like at least 30 days, maybe even 60 days if possible, before your first notice of an annual meeting. So if you've got an annual meeting going on April 1st, we should have spoken hopefully 30 to 60 days before that. Why? There's a few requirements in the state of Florida to set up electronic voting. Those include, again, getting owners opted in to electronic voting, right? And so we will be unable to send out something like an electronic vote for you if we're too close to the actual day of the meeting. We got to get owners opted in. We want to give that onboarding process about 30 days or so. We can have 60, even better, before, again, the date of your first notice for that meeting, right? Not before the day of the meeting, but before the date of that first notice. So why? We want to save you a ton of money on printing and postage, and we want to have this fine-tuned. We've got associations that connect with us months before they need us for an official membership vote. And of course, the earlier the better, because we can set up the consents and set up reminders for owners that don't consent. All right, good question there. So we'll move on to Lori's there. Is the webinar available to view on our website? I do believe strongly here, and I'll let Mark answer that one maybe in the chat, but I do believe that we'll make this webinar available in our website. I think it would be great. I know that we have a resource kind of area there with different, case studies and things of that nature. So we'll task Mr. Mark on the call here to perhaps put a link and say, hey, if you missed our webinar, please click here. But if not, Lori, connect directly with us, with myself, Frank, or Mark, and we'll be happy to make sure that you have that recording for you. So thank you for that. In terms of Mr. Dan here, do you contact owners out of the country and state? Well, electronically speaking, we do. And then, of course, if you task us with sending out paper-based notices, yes, we would be contacting owners. We would be sending a paper-based notice to anywhere. So do we make phone calls? No, obviously, but we do send out officially electronic emails to all these owners. The best part is many of them are or not in the state, and they can still opt into electronic voting and begin to receive communication electronically. Of course, in terms of notices, if an owner doesn't have an email address on file and you've asked us to send out an official paper notice to them, we will send it out. We'll be happy to send that out to whether it's in the United States or even sometimes out of the country. We've sent official notices. In terms of another question coming up here, PDF manuals for anything GetQuorum based. Yes, again, connect with our support team, reach out to support@getquorum.com, ask them for a PDF manual of how an owner opts into electronic voting, a PDF manual or of how to access the dashboard. They do have some of that physical wording that you can read through beyond the video. So both are available. Please contact our team. All right, so we've got a few last questions here from Mr. John. We recently had a proxy vote. It was mentioned that one owner who owns 2 units only received 1 proxy. Does 1 proxy cover both units, or should that owner have received 2 proxies? Please advise. Well, I can tell you for GetQuorum specifically in our environment, in our platform sends, I don't want to speak for other electronic voting, platforms out there, providers, but what we do is if there's an owner that owns multiple units in any condominium or HOA, and it's time for them to cast a vote, they will be receiving multiple links, whether those links are to multiple proxies or those links are to multiple secret ballots. They receive one link per unit that they own, even if it's going to the same email address. So an owner, same email, I own 2 units. It's time for me to vote. That unit owner can expect 2 emails from GetQuorum with 2 individual links, and it will delineate and it will specifically say, hey, this link in this form is for this unit number, right? And then there will be a secondary email that they're sent letting them know this is for that other unit that you own. It will say the number of the units or the address. All right. So you get one link or one vote per unit that you own. If you own 5, you're getting 5 links. And that was intentional because it gives them options for voting different ways. All right. We've got a question from Paul. Can we upload recorded meetings or download? Yes. Well, you can definitely download anything in the GetQuorum platform. And I love that you brought this up for those folks still on the call. Any of these records, whether it's consent forms or whether they're recordings in our platform or whether it's results. And I got this email very early this morning saying, hey, we need our meeting results, right? The final tallies, the report of the votes, who voted electronically, how, of course, that final tally came about. Those reports are available, extremely transparent in the GetQuorum administrative dashboard, and they are available for downloading or exporting. So those reports are not only available there in perpetuity, but they're also available to be downloaded as long as you're a customer of ours. So you can export those reports and recordings and keep them in a separate environment or drive as well. Can you upload records to our platform? There is a tab that allows you to upload things like files. And I do believe you can probably upload some if you have your own, files that you wanted to upload, including recordings. But I think the question was, can you kind of export any recorded meetings that you have in the GetQuorum environment? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can export that stuff out. All right. Kiki with a question here about violation notices. What about those? So GetQuorum currently doesn't administrate or manage any violation notices. I've seen great platforms out there for that. More than likely, those are your FRONTSTEPS, right, or on the back end Caliber for the manager in terms of the other platforms out there, the Vantacas of the world, right? Usually the platform that the property management company is using handles violation notices, stores those, gives an updates. And the reason they do that is because then when an owner logs into their owner portal, they can see any outstanding violations. I know I've seen that myself in Vantaca, FRONTSTEPS as well, and those platforms. So from an owner's perspective, you should log in and be able to see your violation notices in your platform. And from a manager perspective, you should be using a management platform, which is not GetQuorum because we're an electronic voting platform, a management platform that handles violation notices. And there's quite a robust amount of those. So check in with your provider for those violation notices. Very important. I'm glad that you're thinking of a digital world of violation notices. You should have a platform managing that for you. But again, that's more so your management platform. All right. Thank you, Kiki. Any other questions? We've got about 30 seconds here, but if not, that's fine. We'll wrap it up. I do appreciate that. That was a barrage of questions. I kind of knew that they may be coming our way. And so I appreciate it. So good news. Look, my contact information, our contact information specifically, is there in front of your screen, folks. Do not worry. We answered well over probably close to 25 to 30 questions. Our email address is there. Our contact information is there. Please reach out to us, and we will be happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns you have that haven't been addressed already in today's webinar. So we're not going anywhere. Reach out to us. We'll answer your questions directly.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. And thank you everyone for attending today. Great session, Frank. And thank you all for the questions. Really engaging last 20 minutes or so. So as Frank mentioned, for anyone that does have any sales related or service related inquiries, feel free to contact us at contact@getquorum.com or reach out to us at our toll-free number. For those that did ask, the recording of this webinar will be shared later today and feel free to share it with your team. It'll also be available on our social media platforms as well as our website. But without further ado, I would like to thank you all once again for joining us today. It was a fantastic session, and thank you so much for your participation. Have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate everybody. Make it a great day.